welcome back to our WKU RedOUT. My name is Devin, and I am glad to be here with the Dopper Nation tonight. Jake was not able to join us, so it's just going to be me flying solo tonight, guys, so bear with me, please. And as you listen, please like and subscribe to our podcast here on YouTube. It helps us keep going and helps us stay motivated to keep bringing our sports analyst and opinions of Western sports to you guys. So, if you would, we're going to go ahead and dip into what's going to happen tonight. First off, we're going to talk some volleyball, and we're going to talk the North Carolina scandal that came out today. We're going to recap UTEP, and we're going to talk on Charlotte and my predictions of the Charlotte game. So let's go ahead and get into this. The big thing for our sports is the Lady Topper Volleyball is going to Alabama Birmingham, and they're going to be playing Florida International over the weekend, so let's wish them some good luck and safe travels as they travel out this weekend. The Lady Topper Volleyball has their second longest winning streak in the nation with 15 games, and they also set a program record hitting percentage at 0.549. So, hey, that was awesome, girls. Way to go there. Gotta love it. Anytime these young ladies do a good job, there's got to have people there to congratulate them, and they may not get the attention they deserve, but, they need to get in there, and we need to support them as best we can. We're going to talk UNC scandal real quick. Not much of a scandal here. It's kind of disappointing to find out what the ruling for the NCAA was, but the NCAA found that North Carolina had done nothing wrong. For those of you that aren't aware of the allegations, the North Carolina Tar Heels were allegedly giving athletes classes to buff their schedule. That way they could continue to have good grades, and it allowed them to stay in compliance. So that really upset some people, and a lot of reporters and some former athletes even came forward saying, this is happening here, we need to change this. I didn't do anything in college, all I did was went and play sports and blah, blah, blah. And with the NCAA's findings, it shows that not only are there classes like that at the North Carolina Durham campus, but that these young men and women are able to take these classes. And here's the kicker that really turns this around, is that the entire student body was able to take these classes. So it's not a violation by the NCAA. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. So if everybody can do it at the university, that means it's not academic fraud. Okay, whatever you say, NCAA. Let's just say, if I was a University of Louisville fan right now, I would be livid that they threw the book at me, but they didn't do anything to North Carolina. I'm just saying, okay? And who knows what's going to happen out of this whole Adidas scandal. So, hey, if I'm a Louisville fan, I'm throwing my hands up going, come on, dude, what's up? You're not going to treat us fair? You're not going to treat it equal? But, that's how it's going to go, apparently. So, I'm going to move right along real quick here to the WKU versus UTEP last week's game. Last week, I predicted that Western would go, what did I say it was? It was, sorry, I can't find my mouse here. Let's see, real quick here. I predicted, I'm sorry, I can't find my predictions. Let me go through some other stuff real quick, and then I'll go back to my predictions on that. My big problem was that we were supposed to blow this team out. I mean, I saw a tweet before the game, and it was like, hey, one of the Uber drivers for one of the reporters says, hey, we're going to blow them out 54-10. We're going to blow them out 54-10. So it's like, awesome. I'm thinking pregame, I was like, all right, this is going to be a great game. Western's going to blow them out, and we're going to be doing awesome. Well, we get into the game, and we're struggling. I mean, really struggling, and it was really frustrating to listen to. I mean, it was hard enough to figure out how to watch the game. I mean, I was watching it between the Gamecast on ESPN and listening to the IMG Sports Network. So I'm trying to figure, and of course, it was actually behind. So it was really frustrating trying to figure what's going on here, and it's just just one of those things, guys. It's what happens when you're a fan of a team that's not a major sports team. So, let's talk to Todd Stewart and try and get this changed up. First off, let's talk a few stats here. Mike White was 24 of 37, 208 yards, QB rating of 54.4. That's not bad, okay? It's frustrating, but it's not bad. Let's see here. Sorry, I finally got this pulled up. All right, here we go. My prediction last week was 45 to 18, okay? Jake made fun of me because I said 18. First off, there are about 3 different ways you can get 18 points. You can score 3 touchdowns with no field goals made. You can score 1 touchdown and kick 4 field goals, which is another way. And then you can actually kick all 6 field goals. Yeah, I know. It's kind of goofy, but, it'll work. It actually was pretty... It wasn't that. Okay, obviously. We ended up being 15 to 14, and if it wasn't for UTEP's field goal kicker, we would have gotten beat, folks. Plain and simple. Western missed 1 field goal. UTEP's kicker missed 3 field goals. That's 9 points left out there. That's 23 to 18. Western would have lost. First off, Western would have had 18 points. So, Jake, if you're listening, ha! Secondly, UTEP missed 3 field goals. We should have never been in a situation like that. We should have never been in a situation where we're sitting here sweating the field goal kicker. I mean, we were at, 2 minutes to go in the game, 3 minutes to go in the game, and UTEP's field goal kicker is going up there to kick. And all I can picture is La Tech. I was like, guys, come on. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Mike White is, again, missing the deep passes. I'm not completely blaming him. I don't know if it's muscle memory with him rearing back and thinking Taywan Taylor's going to pull this in. It's all right. Let me sling it. Excuse me, guys. Or what's going on. But guess what, guys? We don't have Taywan Taylor. Taywan Taylor was a guy, let me tell you what, he was awesome. He's a professional level wide receiver. You can't beat Taywan Taylor. His numbers do not lie. But we don't have Taywan Taylor, okay? And as bad as it sucks for Western fans, this is what we got, okay? We're just going to have to move on, live with what we got. Another thing I heard that I'm really not frustrated with, but it's the thing I've been preaching all season, is we've got to develop our run game. Let me tell you guys, why in the world, if I'm an opponent at Western, am I going to go in there and say, okay, hey guys, we're going to spread the field, we're going to put 4 in the box, and we're going to put 7 guys deep, and just dare them to run the ball? Nah, I don't think so. First off, I'm going to put 8 in the box and let my guys just do their thing, and I'm going to put one-on-ones on the sides, which that's what everybody's been doing to Western. They're going one-on-one with the corners, and they're daring us to throw it deep because they say, hey, you know what? Mike White's not making the deep passes, so it don't matter. Now, I'm not saying we need to go deep every time, but hey, guys, we need play-action passes in here. We need to put a play-action pass in the playbook or a draw play. Hey, you want to throw it deep? That's fine. But guess what? You need to punch a dude in the gut every now and then and show him the draw. He has to be surprised by the draw. He cannot constantly be thinking, hey, they're lined up in this formation, it's going to be run. We got to throw out of something. We got to do something different. Something has to change. We cannot continue to do Boise State stuff. The rushing stats, Jakari Moses, love the kid. He's a great athlete. 19 carries, 50 yards, averaging 2.6 average. I'm sorry, Bubba. That's just not cutting it. We've got to have 5 yards, 4 yards, averaging 4 yards, and we got to have one busting out. Is that the offensive line's fault? Maybe. We lost 2 or 3 guys from the offensive line this past year. That could be part of it. I don't know. This is me looking on the outside in. We just got to figure out something and figure out what's going on with us, and we got to fix it. That's all there is to it. If not, it's going to be a short career for Mike Sanford. DeAndre Furby, 4 carries, 15 yards. He got about 3.8, which is better than his average. Mike White ran in 2 touchdowns, 6 carries, 6 yards, averaging 1 yard, 2 TDs, like I said. That's one of those plays I was talking about. It's a quarterback draw. He dropped back to pass. He ended up seeing nobody in his face, so he took off. And I've seen some pocket quarterbacks who can pull that off, and I've seen some that can't. Luckily, towards the end of Peyton Manning's career, he was one of those quarterbacks that had to figure out something else to do besides throw the ball. So one game I've watched of his, he reared back to pass. Everybody respected his pass, not his run, and he walked it in. Literally, he could have taken his walker and walked it in with his neck brace on. He did an awesome job. We got Lucky Johnson on the receiving end, 3 receptions, 56 yards. That kid is great. Let me tell you guys, that was awesome. You cannot beat that. Jakari Moses, another versatile player here, 6 receptions, 37 yards. Xavier Lane, 4 receptions, 35 yards. You just got to have it. You just got to have the all-around offense. It's like having a bobcat with, bobcats are single-sided. The tracks, they go one way or the other. If offense is doing one thing and the offensive pass is going really well and the offensive run is going real slow, we're going to go in circles, guys. We're not going to go downfield. And these numbers right here are going to tell it all. WKU, 282 yards passing, rushing 74. 74 flipping yards. Guys, that is, to me, that's a UTEP win. They held us to under 100 yards rushing. It's 300 yards total, but that's ridiculous. Rice had over 500 yards against this team. We got to do something better than this. There's no way that this should have been like this. UTEP had fairly good stuff. Passing, 124 yards. Rush, 163 yards. 287 yards total offense. Now, that's not anywhere near what Western had, but hey, that's still pretty good. Excuse me. What can I say? It was a disappointment all around on that game. You go into the final 2 minutes there, and you're thinking, this is La Tech. I was seriously thinking, this is La Tech. So I'm going to go ahead talk to Jake. We got his vote on this. I'm voting Mike White, our offensive player of the game for our WKU RedOUT. RedOUT. And our defensive player of the game, who stopped the UTEP team from scoring 9 points by missing 3 field goals, was Brady Viles. Congratulations, Brady. Gotta love it, buddy. It's one of those things. Hey, sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. And luckily, Brady Viles missed them for us. Best money I ever spent. We'll go ahead and start talking Charlotte this week. Charlotte is an 0-6 team. So, hey guys, let's hopefully... Last week I said we would go in and blow them out. 45 points, I said. Alright, guys. Counting the spread this week, we have got to... Okay, Western's got an 84.7% winning predictor on ESPN. First off, that predictor is junk, and I hated that thing. I sat there and watched that thing the entire game, and when UTEP went up on their almost second to last possession, they were like 80-some%, and then Western scored. Thank God Mike White scored. And and then, of course, it went back to us, but it was like, this thing's awful. I hated that thing. I just really wanted to just turn it off or delete the thing. I was like, ugh, this is awful. Looking at stats-wise, Charlotte, points per game, they get about 12, almost 13. Western's getting about 21. Points allowed per game, Charlotte allows about 32. Western's at 19 points. So, ideally, Charlotte should probably fall in like the 15 to 16 range, and Western's probably going to fall at about, just averaging those two numbers, probably 26 points. So, okay. Total yards, UTEP 312, Western 325. It's just, and of course Western's overpowered on the passing. A lot of people want to see the deep passes down the sidelines. They want the exciting stuff, like I mentioned earlier, or Jake did. It's the sexy supermodel. Everybody wants that girl on campus or whatever, and it just doesn't happen. Okay, you're gonna have to just go with what you have available. As a team, you have got to look at your roster and say, I got this, I got this, I got this. I don't have a dude that runs a 3.540, and I can't outrun everybody down the sideline, so this is what I got to do. Offensively, Charlotte should be our game where we just cut loose. I said it last week, and I regretted it. Charlotte we should at least get 375 yards allowed. Charlotte is allowing 425 yards a game. Western's sitting at 346 they're allowing. That is ridiculous. Okay, we're allowing 225 yards. Now our rushing is our guys up front are doing a pretty good job at 122, but that's still ridiculous, guys. I mean, there's no reason for that. Charlotte is, their worst loss was to Kansas State, 55-7. Closest loss looks like, I'm going to say FIU, and of course we're going to play them later this year, so that's good for us. Just hoping that this is not going to be one of those games. I'll actually be in attendance, so if y'all see me, give me a holler. I'll be glad to hit you up and give you a shout out here on the Sportscast. Looks like 84 and sunny tomorrow, so if you're sitting on the old side of the stadium, you might want to wear your sunglasses. 3:30 kickoff, Central Time. I'm an Eastern Time guy, so you got to watch that. It's going to be 4:30 Eastern. And it looks like it's going to be on the flowfootball.com for those of you looking at that. Let's talk a little bit here. Some frustrations Jake was voicing earlier in the week we were talking, and he's really frustrated that Coach Sanford is not changing things up. He's not thinking of changing anything. He's still stubbornly thinking that everything is still working, or that it has the possibility to work. Okay, Coach, you've had 5 games. I'm going to tell you right now that I'm going to say we've got 5 games that we're going to lose. I've said it here first, guys. I'm sorry. I hope we win every last game. I don't want to be negative Nancy, but I'm going to be negative. Marshall's good this year, guys. We're probably going to get smacked. I'm going to tell you right now. Vandy, we're going to get smacked. Old Dominion, we're going to get smacked. MTSU, that's a toss-up for me. If FIU, we should beat FIU, but we could get smacked. So let's see, we got Old Dominion loss, FAU probably loss, Vandy loss, Marshall loss. I'll say MTSU loss, and FIU I'll give them a win. So that puts us at, let's see here, 7 and 4 and 7. Guys, that's awful. that's just me looking at the numbers here. I'm a big numbers guy when it comes to football, and Old Dominion's doing good. This team is not a team to just scoff at. And I realize that Western beat Vandy, or almost beat Vandy, or whatever, with Brom. And, hey, that's great, but we're not the same team. And according to the great matchup predictor on ESPN, Western's supposed to beat Old Dominion. Apparently they're 2-3, but that doesn't mean diddly. Wow. Okay. Who have they played? Okay. So what I'm commenting on here, Old Dominion points per game about 20, points allowed per game 34.6. So that'd be a close game, guys. That's going to be real close, and of course that's in Virginia at Old Dominion. They lost to FAU, which was a blowout, so that makes me feel even worse about our game. Virginia Tech, North Carolina. Wonder how they won that one. UMass, which they won 17-7, and Albany, however you want to say that. So they've won 2, and they lost to FAU, which FAU, from what I've seen, is a beast. Okay, guys. That team's gonna be good this year, and let's see what they're looking like. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, the matchup predictor for Western FAU is 62, almost 63% for FAU. The points per game 34 for FAU, points allowed 25. So they're more of a one-sided team. They're 2-0 in conference play, guys, so we can't scoff at that. They lost to Wisconsin, 31-14, at Wisconsin. That was cold, even in September. BCU, they beat them 45-0. Buffalo, they lost by 3. MTSU, they beat 38-20, and Old Dominion, they beat 58-28. And of course, on our side, we ain't got nothing that looks that good, 58-28. So I'm going to say that they are very stout. Let's see. They lost to Vandy, Syracuse. Oh, they beat Syracuse. I'm sorry. Lost to Minnesota. Beat Bowling Green State. That's in Indiana, for those of you who wondered about that. FAU, they lost, and they beat FIU. It's MTSU's so far this year. And they actually beat FIU 37-17. So, kind of wondering how this is going to go with the conference this year. I realize Western's supposed to be on top this year. I get that. Okay, guys. But I'm just calling it right now. This is our rebuilding year. We got a new coach, new system, and everybody's just got to learn how everything goes. Charlotte, from what I'm averaging out here, I'm going to say Western beats Charlotte 26-14. Stupid computer. 26-14, WKU. That is not a blowout by any means. 26 points is easily to get. I'll say 27, just so I don't have to listen to any grief from Jake. 27-14. Now we're going to talk a little WKU history. A lot of you young guys don't realize when you sit up in the stands and you look down on the field that Fikes Field, and you're like, who is Fikes? Fikes Field is named after Jimmy Fikes, or Coach Fikes for a lot of us who knew him. Coach Fikes was born in Henderson, Kentucky. He came to Western in the 1949 season where he started as a freshman for Coach Jack Clayton. Coach Fikes, Jimmy Fikes, did not play the entire season. He started halfway through the season, and it was the last 7 games of the season is what he played, and he won 5 of those. This guy was awesome. Okay, guys. His senior year, throwing my pen, sorry. His senior year, he led WKU to its first Ohio Valley Conference and first bowl appearance against Arkansas State in the Refrigerator Bowl, which is the greatest name for a bowl, I'm sorry, which they won 34-19. Coach Fikes earned WKU's first ever All-American honors, boasting the highest completion percentage. It was, I think Coach Fikes had like a 66% completion percentage, which is awesome for him. Coach Fikes, Coach Jack Clayton finished his career at WKU with a 50-33 and 2 ties record. And for you, those of you who like percentages, that's 64%. Coach Fikes was drafted by the New York Giants. He never played a game for them. He suffered a shoulder injury that led to him being forced to leave the game of football, where he joined the Air Force. Coach Fikes joined the Air Force, and after a couple years in the Air Force, he was actually coaching youth sports on Air Force bases, and he was talking to a young man, a boy, on second base. He was playing baseball, and he was coaching him up. And Coach Fikes realized, it just hit him. He says, I want to be a coach. So he went home and told his wife. His wife's name was Frankie. He told Frankie, he said, I want to coach. He said, I'm done with this. I want to be a coach. So he goes and he came back to Western. He coached for 11 seasons under Coach Nick Dennis, who was actually a baseball coach too. And I say Dennis, it's Denes. That's who the baseball field is named after. After 11 seasons, Coach Fikes was promoted to the head coach for football. He was, let me tell you guys, Coach Fikes was the winningest coach at Western. He is the Coach K of WKU football. In conference play, he went 67, 28, and 2. It's a 69%, okay? And overall, he was 105, 56, and 6 ties, 63%. He led the team to 6 OVC championships from 1970 to 1980 and helped WKU transition from Division II football to Division I AA, or what we now know as the FCS. He is the longest tenured and most successful coach in WKU history. After Fikes retired from coaching at WKU, he passed the torch to Dave Roberts, who left WKU with its first losing record coach in over 60 years. Coach Fikes, every year when I was at Western, he always gave a speech at the end of camp. Camp is always the first, I think it's August. You start the first week of August and you go through the last week of August, and Coach Fikes would show up like the last week of camp, and he would tell this story. And I'm so sorry, guys, I do not remember the canary story. Coach Fikes would always tell this story about a canary, and I could not remember it, but he was the most soft-spoken, kindest, most Christian man I have ever known in my entire life. He was, for being a college coach, he was probably one of the most respected people at Western. I mean, speaking personally, he was one of the greatest people I've probably ever known. For not only for what he did at Western, for what he stood for, and what he was as a person. Coach Fikes was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and it became harder for him to come to Western practices and football games. He ended up passing away on October 5th, 2014. He was loved by many Hilltoppers. He leaves the love of his life, Frankie, and 2 sons, Jimmy and Jeff, and he is actually buried at Fairview Cemetery in Bowling Green. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave you all with that, and I hope you pass on your thoughts and prayers this week as we play Charlotte, because we're going to need them, guys. I'm hoping everything goes well. I'm hoping we do well. I don't have Jake's prediction in front of me, but after talking to him last week, it wasn't a very good picture he painted. So let's see how everything goes, and we'll go from there. So this is Devin signing off from WKU RedOUT, and good night, Topper Nation.